Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collecting. Today I want to talk about sort of middle tier German watches, and not only German watches, but German watches with German movements. And I sort of set the upper limit at 10,000 Swiss francs. Anything below 10,000 is what I'm looking at, and most of these watches are well below 10,000. A lot of them are below 5,000. So let's take a look at them and see what we've got. Now, the first one I want to talk about is Nomos Glashütte. This particular one, I picked one out of all of them, and there are a lot more than one here. This is the Metro Nailmatic 39 silver cut. Now, 39 refers to the width of the case. It's actually 38.5, and they have different sizes that you can get. I think there's 42 and so forth. This one, though, I think is a good representation of sort of the middle tier of German watches. Now, one of the things that Nomos developed over the years, and this is only, I think, about the past 10 years or so, is the DUW series of movements that they developed in-house. This one is the 3001. It's an automatic. It's 3 hertz, which I like a lot. And it has something in it. I think a lot of the Nomos calibers, if not all of the DUW calibers, have what they call their swing system. And this is a system that Nomos developed for their mechanical movements. And so this, I think, is probably the most sort of almost iconic center series watch by Nomos. Philippe Dufour was asked what he thought was the best watch under $10,000 or 10,000 euros, I think at the time, or Swiss francs, one of them. And he said he thought it was Nomos, and it certainly is a top-notch watch. And the caliber, all of the calibers, I think now are German calibers. Now, this next one is one that has an incredibly good movement. I mean, this is like an outstanding movement. It's the name of it is UWD 33.1, and it's used in some of the other watches, German and non-German, but not a lot. And that's a shame because it's such a good movement. Now, one of the watches that under 10,000, this one is 79.50 euro, and that includes the VAT tax, which is a big deal. In US dollars, after the conversion between euros and dollars, and without the VAT tax, because they don't have that in the United States, it's 75.03. So this watch, the Leinfelder watches, are really, they're from Munich. They're really great. The problem is most of their dials they almost border on hideous. They make the one up in the upper right. There you have a very standard looking dial with a sub-dial at 6 o'clock. Great, but so many that don't. The Beno, Beno, that's shown right there, the sort of that diamond-shaped checkerboard, I guess you might call it, that pattern, is a Bavarian, sort of a symbol from Bavaria, which is sort of cool. And then they have a picture of their church, and that's about as close as they get. But Leinfelder, I have a feeling if they really did some work on their dials, would just have one of the tip-top German watch companies. I really like the movement. Now, this next one is sort of a funny one. This is the first of the Dresden watches. Actually, I suppose the Leinfelder was in this respect. The movement was from Dresden, from Lange and Heyne, but the rest of the watch is made in Munich. This one is a pure Dresden. Now, Stefan Kadoki is more of a individual watchmaker, and he won a Grand Prix award last year, a couple of years ago, for a watch that was sort of it used the Kaliber 1, I believe, but it also included some improvements on it and some upgrades. But the price went up over 10,000. Now this one is called the Kadoki 1. The movement's the Kaliber 1, and this one is 8630. I have a feeling at one time I think it was around 6,000 something or other. I don't think this is going to last too long in the middle range, because I think that Stefan has plans for more elaborate movements and watches and so forth. He has some other ones that he does that are less expensive, but they don't have German movements in it. So, but this Kadoki 1, I think, is really a nice little treasure for that middle range, but before it gets out of that range. Die Dornblüth and Sohn, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced it, because I probably did. They have this, theirs is called a Kaliber 99.1 medium. And again, the medium is the size of the watch. This one is 40 millimeters in steel, $4,860, hand wound, 2.5 hertz. It's 18,000 VPH. This is, to me, is just like a wonderful, wonderful watch. Movement, because you have the reason that I prefer slower movements, not only because it seems that all of the top watchmakers have the slower movements. You look at Karibu and Lange and a lot of the other ones, they're all using a slower one, and the advantages are several. One, you're not going to beat up the parts as quickly, so with a slower frequency, you can see things a lot more clearly. And there's another advantage of a lower frequency, and that is that after your watch gets banged, the balance it gets knocked out of whack, and with a lower frequency, it's going to come back quicker. The most popular movement speed frequency is 4 hertz, and most watches have 4 hertz. But these that I've looked at so far, they all, except for, oddly enough, the Kadoki, they're all under 4 hertz. Now, this next one, Tutima Patria Admiral Blue. Before I go any further, let me say I wasn't sure about the middle range German watches. Pretty good handle on the upper level ones. I have one, and the Lange and Heyne. And I'd spent some time. I went to visit Rolf Lange outside of Dresden, and so I was pretty familiar with that whole. And then the Lange and Moritz Grossmann. I've met the CEO of Moritz Grossmann, the head of some of these other ones. Rolf Lange used to work at Tutima and had made a watch for them. I think he made a repeater for them, something like that. Really incredible. But he was pretty much in charge of training the young watchmakers. This guy is really sort of a legend. Now, the route that I came to this particular watch wasn't through Rolf, but rather there's a group called the German Watch Group. It's a Facebook page, and I asked them for some help for what are some German watches you would suggest, and that do have German movements. And they were a huge help. A lot of these watches, this one included, were because that crew helped me. I want to send out my appreciation for their help on that. But here's another one. This one's 3 hertz. The Kaliber 617 is the hand wound. The U.S. price is about, like sort of by extrapolating, was 48.38, and euros, including VAT, is under 5,000, 4,900 euros. I like this watch a lot. It's a great looking watch, and I have a lot of respect for Tutima. Now, the final one this is for the middle range of German watches. And this one, when I was in Germany a couple years ago, I was right at a Damasko, right next to a Damasko shop, and we were looking at a bunch of other stuff on a tour there, and my wife wouldn't let me run in there and take a look. But now here is, to me, is a very, very good deal. The Damasko watch, the DK105 Blue, has the Damasko H35-1. Now, there was an interesting thing that I saw about Sinn making the movements for Damasko, but Sinn has almost all Solida movements now. They used to be ETA movements, so I'm not sure about that. But this is very much so, appears to be, 100% Damasko from everything else I saw. But one thing I said, well, maybe Sinn did some production work for him, or I don't know what it was. But this is a great price, $27.80, 42 millimeter steel. These watches, I think, are very solid ones. Now, it does run at 4 hertz, but you can't have everything. Anyway, well, listen, I think German watches, most people, they think of German watches, and all they like to think about pretty much is Lange und Söhne, and they're great watches. But there are a lot of other watches, both on the high end, such as Lange and Moritz Grossmann, but there's a lot really sort of middle level and at some great prices too. So something you might want to take a look at. Let me know what you think, and I apologize for my mispronunciation of any German. I do the best I can on that. Let me know what you think, and this is the invitation to subscribe if you'd like. And until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Side, the art and science of watch collection.